Good afternoon and welcome back to another edition of By Any Greens Necessary, the show about healthy food and nutrition. I'm your host, the Executive Director of the Endeleo Institute. My name is Melvin Thompson. We focus on health, education, and community development, and we are just excited about the remaining 4 weeks. We host a Trinity's Farmers Market every Saturday morning on 95th and Normal from 8 a.m. To 1 p.m. And again, we're down to our last 4 market days. So please, if you haven't come out yet, take this information down. It's very important. I want to share with you that we had an out-of-town farmer, a black farmer from as far back as Arkansas, that joined us last week, and it was just amazing. I was telling our guest, and I'll introduce you to him in just a second. Has anybody ever heard of what did I call them? Whole peas? Whole peas, purple whole peas. Not familiar in these parts, but I bought a bag of them. I cooked them, and they were delicious. And yes, I did season them. They were delicious. And this gentleman represented black farmers from Arkansas, all the way in Arkansas, got wind of our market at 95th and Normal and came and spent the day and made money and imparted a lot of wisdom to us. So we were very grateful that he showed up, and we're looking for him on our final market day, September 30th. Want to tell you also that in addition to our market this Saturday, which will obviously be the Labor Day weekend, Trinity, our church, our home church, is also doing, through its prison ministry, our clothing giveaway, which is a massive undertaking. So if you have clean clothing that you want to donate to someone in need, believe me, we had 1,700 folks show up alone last Labor Day weekend. We had a line maybe 2 blocks long because it doesn't open until 10, and I think people got there as early as 8 o'clock in the morning. So this is, in addition, right next door to our farmers market at 95th and Normal, there will be this massive free clothing giveaway. So make note of that and tell anyone that you know that this opportunity exists. And there's actually a story from that where a brother who attended last year's free clothing event came to our farmers market as well and shared with us a few weeks later that the very clothes that he was given helped him land an interview, and not only an interview, but eventually a job. And so, hearing those kind of testimonies, you just can't buy that. And so this is an opportunity with food, clothing, and shelter, right? Those are the 3 big issues. And so please come out and support this, or just come out and see the camaraderie around what we do as a church and as a community, all right? This gentleman to my right is the catalyst of a lot of things positively happening at Trinity. We are deacons together at the church. We are brothers in arms. And he just happens to be one of the most terrific chefs I've ever met. I want to talk to him about his black-eyed peas and apples. We're going to get into that. But this is none other than George Outlaw. Brother George, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. How's it going?
It's going wonderful. It's going wonderful, man. Listen, I want you all to know, before we get into that, this is a live call-in show, as usual, 312-738-1060. If you have any questions about anything that I've mentioned so far, please give us a call. Don't hesitate, or anything about some of our past shows, because we've had an array of guests, and we haven't been able to get to all of the calls. So anything that comes to your mind, please give us a call. But Brother George has been a real catalyst. If you all saw the show that we did with Chef Maria, the sister that came on and does the cooking demonstrations, well, this brother to my right, George, is the reason why she is with us at Trinity. She participated in the party for a purpose and told our audience all about that. And how did you wind up, George? How did you wind up connecting with her?
Well, Melvin, first of all, man, thanks for having me on.
Sure.
Chef Maria, I met her through another chef, Chef Sam Marshall.
Okay.
And we did an event together. And I liked the way that she cooked. She cooks clean, healthy food, and she's passionate about her food. So from there, we just connected, and she's someone to be reckoned with. And you find that when you find like-minded people, you just automatically gravitate towards each other.
And is that, speaking of the gelling, is there a community of African American chefs here in Chicago that you all, you share events? Is that something? Is that part of the norm?
Yes and no.
Okay.
There is a community of African American chefs out here, but as far as like sharing, that's something that's still in the snail stages. To get together, my network or mentors or chefs that I look up to from Chicago, throwing out names, Chef Sam, Sam Marshall, Ricky the chef, also Chef Tino, and that chef gave me my first opportunity to cook, and it was at a golf course. So it seems like, just like with anything else, there's like pockets of chefs, and as far as like all of us just coming together, that's still
kind of like in the works, in the making.
Yeah.
Well, it's a wonderful concept. I mentioned to you in the green room that I was at a tech incubator. My good friend Emil Cambry runs Blue 1647 out of the new Lacuna space, just north of Pilsen, and we had a group of brothers and just the whole business incubation model. On my way to the studio, I just started thinking about how critical that was, because I sat at a table with maybe 20, 25 entrepreneurs or brothers that are trying to become entrepreneurs, and the ideas were just flowing, and businesses were actually being created right in that 2-hour window that we got together. So I can imagine, something like that with food, particularly healthy food, emerging as, something that could be incredible in our community, particularly given the well-documented food deserts that we face, and the opportunities therein. So you mentioned someone gave you your first kind of opportunity. When did you know, or have you known all along, that you wanted to be? Did you aspire to be in the culinary field?
As all of us black folks growing up, we all gravitated around food. And in my house, I'm an only child, so it was my mom and my dad and myself, and we would have our dinners like the clumps, and we would have these feasts, just the three of us. And back then I was like a latchkey kid, so I would go home and my mother would either have something leftovers there, or I remember the first thing I ever made was like a frozen pizza. And from there, it was like, wow, it just slowly evolved. And my thing was always that you should always learn about whatever you're going to step into. So over the years, that's what made me want to go to culinary school, so I can learn about the food. And from there, once my job kind of transitioned me it kind of forced me to go into the culinary field.
Okay.
And from there, I learned that there's so much to food, and if we just take the time to know what we're putting in our bodies, it's just, the world is endless.
And you touched on so many different points. I think what resonates with me and resonated with me with Chef Maria is that her job had come to an end, and so she had come to kind of like a fork in the road, and so it forced her, and it sounds like the same kind of thing when you get transitioned, and maybe that's divine intervention where that happens, because now you're doing something that you really, really have a passion for, and that's just amazing. So you mentioned education. So are you completely self-taught, or have you gone to some sort of organized culinary school? And would you recommend it? And is there an expense to it that would discourage folks from even thinking about it?
Culinary school is expensive. I don't care where you go. It is expensive. However, you can take classes. If you wanted to just learn how to cut knife skills, if you wanted to learn knife skills, you can go to like these boutique cooking stores and learn something, because we all know the basics. And then, so I went to culinary school. I wasn't even able to finish because, again, it was too expensive.
Cost prohibitive.
And then, by being self-taught, so I kind of married the two. And once I learned that if it tastes good,
that's pretty much
So
wow. And that probably goes for just about anything. You're gonna put your own personality and your own stamp on whatever it is that organized education is going to impart to you. But and that's what we tell our young people, that education is only gonna create a platform for you. You're going to need some of your own ingenuity to actually produce something that'll be unique unto itself. And who doesn't want to put their personality into whatever it is that they're doing? So tell me about, and you don't have to give me the recipe or nothing, but where in the world did Black Eyed Peas, what is it? Tell me. Tell everybody what that is.
It's the black eyed pea salad. And here's the funny thing about that. Chef Coco, she's been around for a long time here in the Chicago area. She taught me this recipe. But what she taught me also was that if you ever want to make a recipe unique to yourself, you add something to it. So for what she taught me, I just changed one ingredient with it, and I added apples. I add apples to it, and this recipe, and it's fresh ingredients. It's red, orange, and yellow peppers. It's fresh corn. It's a red onion. It's a green onion. It's cilantro. It's a black eyed pea salad, and it's a salad dressing. It's the black eyed peas, and it's a salad dressing. That is it. If you don't, say you don't like cilantro, you don't have to put it in there. So, and this recipe also, it can be a side dish, or you can put it on top of like a grilled chicken or salmon, and it's like the color black.
Right.
It goes with everything.
We go with everything.
Right. And that one recipe, and I'm forever grateful to her, because she was hard on me. But when she taught me that recipe, she said, never be afraid to give away a recipe, but always make sure that you have something that you can add to it that would make it your recipe.
Sure.
So when people say, well, I can't give you my mama's recipe. What you want to learn is that it's a technique. It's a technique to cooking. It's a technique on how you cut your ingredients. And that's the difference, because I could give you a recipe and you're not going to, you could follow the step by step, verbatim, but it's not going to turn out right because of the technique. So never be afraid. That's why chefs have cookbooks. Right.
They give it away.
They give it away. So
Absolutely.
now it's up to you on how you interpret it. So
Wonderful. This is a call-in show. If you have any questions or comments about what you've heard, 312-738-1060. Let's talk about what this, as you know, we have this grant, and this grant is in its second season. And one of the things that we've been able to do is really kind of galvanize African American, not only farmers, but vendors. What do you, we've talked about this the last couple of weeks about and some kind of kitchen incubator, and how we can kind of transfer our what we're doing in the summer to a year-round lifestyle kind of event, because we don't want, we talked about this earlier, we don't want you to eat healthy, or for us to participate in cooperative economics just during a season. We want this to become a lifestyle. So what are your thoughts about a kitchen incubator or a shared or community kitchen that I've been hearing so much about, and I've actually mentioned on the show before?
I love the concept. I know we have one. I think the Chicago Depository, I think that's like a kitchen incubator. I love it. We should have one on the South Side, especially because we're going to have in the next coming months. You're going to see all these turkeys, and churches are going to give away food for the holiday season. And I get in trouble for this, but I'm not impressed with that, because people are still hungry. There are people that's hungry today who they don't know where they're going to get a meal from.
Sure.
And they may scrap up some money and go to the local liquor store and get Cheetos or frozen TV dinner. So we should have an incubator where we can have returning citizens learning skills.
Absolutely.
We can have our young folks learning a skill and also giving back to the community. And what makes the farmers market so great is that we have black farmers, okay, who have grown this food. But if we don't come out and support it, then what are they doing with it? And so I would just challenge all of these brothers out here, brothers and sisters in the culinary field, to let's come together to come up with an incubator, a kitchen incubator, where we can put our skills to work, and our passion is on that plate.
Sure.
And we're feeding people.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm at. Right
Absolutely. And I can't say enough about what a black farmer is, an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And I tell my kids, because they see the food come in, and I say, now, this is a guy that lives 60 miles south of the city, who at the crack of dawn gets all of his food that he's been cultivating and nurturing and growing and watering and all of these things, and then hauls them in a truck and then brings them directly to you for you to drive or ride your bike or walk to, and this is his livelihood, right? This is what he does. And so if he's not, patronized, then he doesn't have the sustenance to keep doing what he's doing. And so, we run into all of our grocery stores, and without thinking, just and nothing against Pete's or Jewel or Mariano's or Trader Joe's or any of these stores or any of our corner stores, but when we see these entrepreneurs, and that's what they are in the truest sense of the word, they need to be patronized. And so this is a concept that we hopefully we're adamant. We're going to be meeting very soon about bringing a concept where we've got African American farmers, we've got our church base, and we've got the community. So if we connect all of those three things, there's nutrition education involved with that. A lot of our people don't even realize, okay, what do I do with kale? How do I cook it? I've never had it before. Why am I interested in eating it? And because we've got these chronic illnesses in our community that are preventable, with based on what we put in our mouths. So if we're eating Red Hots and red juice, then we're gonna develop diabetes. We're gonna develop hypertension. We're gonna develop these kind of issues that stem from not having healthy food. So we got a caller. Caller, state your comment or question. Thank you for calling.
Hi, my question has to do somewhat with gender roles. So traditionally, the gender roles have been defined as like the man being the worker and the woman being the one who stays at home and cooks. Luckily that narrative seems to be changing a bit. But what do you do when you encounter, young men who are like, oh, I don't want to learn how to cook. That's for girls. What do you tell them, and how do you help change that state of mind?
What a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. You want to tackle that?
You know what? I would tell that young man that girl's not going to always be around.
And you're still going to be hungry.
You're still going to be hungry. And there's nothing wrong than learning how to fend for self.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong. And it's not girly. You know what? Like spaghetti. Think about spaghetti, all right? Do you know, like, spaghetti was like a peasant food, okay? Because all it really is, it's flour, water, and eggs, all right? And they mix it together. So if this young man, if he knew how to just make his own spaghetti, when he goes to school, he won't be eating ramen noodles. So I think we have to get back to, it's not, take the gender out of it. It's like, okay, can you fend for self? Back in the day, you used to know how to iron your own clothes, and we've gotten away from that. And for these young men out here, it's cool to know how to cook.
Listen.
It is.
I've got a 14-year-old that can go in there and hook up his breakfast. And he watched his mother. And he's made mistakes, but when he grows up, he's a young musician. Both of them are musicians, and they probably will be on the road if they pursue this. And, they're not going to go out to a restaurant every single night. They're going to go home, bring the basics home, and know what to do with just the most basic flour, eggs, and those kind of things. And so you're absolutely right that this is probably a culture shift, but when you're hungry, you're hungry. And if you know better, you'll do better. And I think if you look at cable and the proliferation of cable shows, there's a lot of male chefs getting paid.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's so, and so I think this is a huge opportunity to kind of establish a new path, a new career path, and it's really cool. We got one more caller. Go ahead with your comment or question.
Hi, I just wanted to say hello to you guys. My name is Anthony. I'm at the age, I'm 55 years old, and I'm starting to try to eat better, but eating healthy is expensive. But just wanted to reach out to you guys and just tell George, hey, I commend you for stepping out on faith, and sometimes transition in life will lead you into the place where you actually should be. So thank you for whetting appetites and providing some information regarding your culinary skills.
Oh, God bless you.
God bless you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And you're absolutely right. Can you speak quickly to the expense that is associated with healthy food as well, because that is an issue, and we've heard it that why should I spend this kind of money? And we've got just about a minute left.
There's no such thing as an expensive food, because guess what? You can go and you can go to pizza, all the stores that you mentioned earlier, or you can go to the farmer's market, and if you can get chicken is chicken, fish is fish, you don't have to get the most expensive cut of meat. And as far as vegetables go, I've yet to see the black farmers have organic whatever. So they have food that's been grown from the ground.
Naturally.
And you have to do your little research and go out of these food deserts and find these sales, because the food is out there, but we look for the most expensive cut. But a green is a green. It's all on what we do with it. And there's a recipe. A guy showed me, and you could take an orange and some peanut butter and put it together. It'll taste like a taffy apple.
Keep that in mind, and
Keep
we're gonna
that in
have to, we're gonna have to end on that note. I gotta try that. Join us this Saturday for the food market and our clothing giveaway at 8:00 in the morning at 95th and Normal. Until next week, by any greens necessary. Thank you very much.